Goku vs Gojo has to be one of the most debated matchups in modern shonen. Despite how one-sided it is, you typically have peak Dragon Ball Super God Awakened Goku with UI sprinkled on top versus Satoru Gojo, as if that's a fair fight. So I wanted to tackle this matchup, but from a different perspective. I wanted to see if the strongest Jujustu sorcerer, Satoru Gojo, could beat Goku from the Buu saga. When it comes to physical stats, Gojo is no slouch, but obviously he's not going to be physically comparing with Goku. The highest you could realistically argue him is about star level, assuming you use Dagon's domain and assume the stars in there are real stars, but that line of scaling really wouldn't be accepted by many scalers, nor is it accepted by me. But for the sake of not seeming like I'm biased or taking sides, I'll be granting Gojo his star level scaling for the sake of the video, full sail. Gojo's main claim to fame rather are his hacks, in specific the ability called the Limitless. What the Limitless is the manipulation of space and time on the atomic level, allowing him to bring an infinite space into reality. In Japan's Jump Giga Summer, a lecture was held between two special grade mathematicians and the JJK editor, Mr. Takano, where they theorized how his ability would work using in real world life, logic, and science, where they stated, and I quote, "Gojo creates an infinity space between him and his opponents, rapidly slowing down the movement of any abilities approaching him. This essentially explains away why ability the Limitless is seen to be so strong. You would effectively need infinite or immeasurable speed to even hope to touch the guy. This can be further explained by the Achilles and tortoise paradox. The paradox being proposed by a Greek philosopher named Zeno says that if you race a tortoise while giving it a head start, you'll never be able to actually reach it. This is due to the fact that no matter how close you get to it, there'll always be a new starting point, thus making any momentum irrelevant because you would have effectively traveled the same distance while making no progress. This is because whenever you reach a halfway point, you would effectively need to start at a whole new halfway point, effectively meaning you have made no progress no matter how fast you are. Let's say even if you were a Googleplex times the speed of light, even if you went full force at Gojo, you would never really be able to touch him because you would need to cross an infinite distance. Matter of fact, this paradox is actually referenced in the manga, and since you can reach point A from point B, illogical situations like -1 apples start to manifest, meaning Gojo's ability can actually create impossible scenarios, thus meaning Zeno's paradox is actually in play in this situation. And this isn't even including his other abilities like the reverse curse technique Hollow Purple, which is the collision of two infinities, creating a new infinity. This ability really wouldn't be like a form of destruction, rather it would be more like existence erasure on the atomic level, thus granting him abilities like existence erasure and Dura negation, and his domain expansion, the infinite void, which quite literally just fills your mind up with infinite information. But how would Goku compare to any of these abilities? Now that I've gone over the convergence of an infinite series using the Zeno's paradox of the Achilles and the tortoise, explaining his hacks, let's see how Goku measures up. For Goku, there's a couple metas you can take. Meta number 1 is if you assume that he only scales a couple times above manga Gohan, who should scale above manga Cell, who was able to destroy the solar system. Solar systems in Dragon Ball are actually nebulae comprised of innumerable stars, meaning this would require at least multi-solar levels of AP. And for speed, he's no slouch either, considering he was able to move and react faster than the spaceship heading to Namek. Namek is chronologically about 8,000 light years away from Earth, meaning he would need to move at least tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands times the speed of light to physically move faster than the spaceship. And this is further supported by the fact that King Kai can perceive the spaceship on the way to Namek, yet can't perceive the fight between Goku and Frieza. The second meta you can go with is the Universal Kid Buu meta, where you assume he was going to destroy the universe, meaning this would either need infinite speed or infinite strength. The third and final meta you can use is if you scale him off Buuhan from the Z anime, in which case this starts to begin to look a lot more like Super Goku versus Gojo. Buuhan was almost able to destroy the entirety of Universe 7 by collapsing other dimensions on top of it. This would require at least a bare minimum Universal Plus levels of power. Also, in the Z anime with Pikkon, Goku was able to dip past the entirety of heaven, an infinite distance by the way, which would require just blatantly infinite speed if you're using Z anime scaling. So if you use the first meta, Goku either loses or stalemates, assuming he blows up the planet, which is kind of boring. If you use the second meta, Goku either loses or possibly wins, depending if you think high universal levels of power can get through the limitless. And if you use the third meta, Goku just one-shots him similar to how he does in Super. Another argument in Goku's favor is that he might just be able to use instant teleportation to get around the ability the limitless. The argument proposes that you wouldn't really need to cross an infinite distance since teleportation is defined as instantaneous movement between 2 points in space and time, effectively meaning that Goku would realistically only need to feel Gojo's energy right in front of him to actually teleport to him. And this may actually work, considering the only time instant transmission has been seen to be ineffective is when Goku blatantly cannot feel his opponent's energy. So in conclusion, depending on where you scale manga Goku in the Buu saga, this can end in a variety of ways. If you want to go purely off manga statements and feats, then he probably either loses or stalemates. If you want to use like the universal Buu meta, he can probably either stalemate or win. And if you want to use Z anime scaling, he just blatantly wins. Unless you believe that Gojo can hit him with a dirt negation attack like Hollow Purple, there is no real conceivable way he actually wins the fight. So overall, I would say Goku probably comes out on top more times than not. If you like the content, please stay tuned, I got more planned in the future. And don't forget to like and subscribe.